What's going on, guys? Y'all can hear me? Why is the yen still dropping even if the CPI was stronger? It's because of the dollar. That's why. The dollar and the yields was rising all last week, so that's impacting the yen. What's going on, guys? Yeah, if you got questions, don't hesitate to ask. So this is just going to be a weekly prep. All right, weekly prep. We're going to go over what to expect for the markets. Damn. Now we got to send that. Yeah. What's going on, guys? All right. Give it a few more minutes and we get it started. All right, it's echoing. Hold on. Is it better? All right, cool, cool. Thanks, Tiara. All right. So for this weekly prep, we got a lot to go on, you know. So market open is going to happen in a few minutes. So you guys just look at the trades yourselves. But what we pretty much going to cover, we're just going to cover today with obviously the last labor data that happened last week because it was extremely important. Okay, labor data is one of the biggest factors that we have to pay attention to. We're going to talk about the government reopening, also the stimulus talks that Trump was just saying, and China and Nvidia problems that is going on because that could impact NASDAQ moving forward. All right, so when you guys are trading out there, just be cautious at market open because it could get pretty crazy. So last week we had labor data. Y'all guys was focusing on the challenger layoffs. So we've been getting overall weaker labor data. Those signals is coming out that there is something wrong within the economy. Okay, we're getting those indicators. This is what I was telling you guys before. One sec. About the core stat we went over, when we get these little indicators, it's going to lead to the Federal Reserve actually doing something big, right? We could see a change in monetary policy. So if we continue to see numbers like this, if we continue to see numbers like this, it's going to get worse than expected, guys. We could eventually start turning into recessionary problems for the markets, right? But as of now, because of the lockdown, we probably can't see the actual data and what's going to happen, right? But let's talk about the government shutdown, okay? Because today, as like right now, they are actually live. So I'll just show you guys here. I'm not gonna watch it, but they are talking, okay? So at least we could understand that part. Are we gonna see an end of it? Who knows? But what we have to pay attention to, just in case if there is an end of the shutdown, okay, guys, just in case if there is, you guys need to be able to take advantage of the opportunity. All right. So this is why I have these two paths, right? So when we finally see an end of the government shutdown, we're going to get economic data. And when the data is now finally open, right? Are we going to finally see hidden damages coming up? Are we going to see data like inflation or labor data, growth data? Is it actually going to show that there's real damage, right? Was they hiding this problem from us, right? Because this is what's going to really help gold push higher. Then we're going to see equity markets push lower, right? Because that's the recessionary reaction. But path B, if we see that the data is still steady, okay, this symbolizes a soft landing for the Feds. If we see that labor data is still lower, but not screaming recessionary fears, right? So we're going to continue to see what we have going on so far, right? So this is what helps you guys. Just take a screenshot, put it in your notes, just in case, right? Because they are speaking right now. And after 6 p.m., they're going to continuously talk. If they do find a way to end the government shutdown, we are going to probably see a spike in equity markets. It could lead to a spike of a risk on market, right? Because that is optimism. I don't know if you guys are, I could just show you guys. I don't know if you guys are trading stocks, but if you just I know that airline stocks is like taking a hit, but this is, it's just cause and effect, right? We could just look at it from that perspective. This is like everything in total, but you could just see like the decline in stocks, right? Ever since all of this started happening, it's pretty much just cause and effect. So if the government opens up again, most likely we could see a lot of the airline stocks recover from those lows. This is just for you guys that, like to focus on stock markets, right? So it's a really good thing to pay attention to just in case. So that's what clears out there. And again, I'm personally not going to listen to it, but in the Discord group, just remember, guys, when we get that headline, right? Let me see what this is. Yeah, because you can already see this was at 2 p.m. So you can see that they're already trying to get ready for a deal. If it happens, if it not, we know how to take advantage of it, but just still focus on those headlines just in case, guys. All right, just in case if something do pop off, you guys could take advantage of it. What we also going to focus on too is like China limited U.S. chips. Okay, so I would like to see how. I would like to focus more on this because when we look at the index, the whole NASDAQ, we could just see like everything else in the NASDAQ is crumbling pretty much, but the top stocks, right? Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, right? It's like probably like 5 to 6 stocks that's really holding on. So if we actually see Nvidia take a hit, right? Because this is not, we did get a little ban from China, but it's not as a whole, right? So it's not a total ban, but this could spark uncertainty, and this could actually impact NASDAQ. This could push NASDAQ lower. So I would say, let's see what happens, right? Because we're going to have multiple things going against each other. So if this actually starts becoming a problem, right, we could actually start seeing NASDAQ as a whole push lower because of the conflict that's going on with China. So let's pay attention to this also tomorrow as well. So let's see how this actually goes. I do believe the focus will be on stimulus, right? I think this is what's going to be the actual focus. I personally believe Trump is just speaking out of his ass. I think he's just saying this just because he feels that if he talks about giving stimulus, the majority of people, right? You guys are here, so most of you guys probably already know the bullshit that's happening behind closed doors, right? But the majority, all they see is free money, right? So that's all they see. So they use that as a tactic. It's political, okay? He's going to use it as a tactic so that if the Senate choose to end tariffs, it's going to put the public against them, right? So this is more like, to me, I feel like this is more of it's either one or two things, right? It's just a tactic that he is using, or we're going to see number two, right? is he actually trying to do this because there is a problem in the economy, right? Because when you put stimulus to people, like, just think about it. What do you think they're going to do with it, right? They're just going to buy stuff, right? It goes into the market. So stock markets increase, but it also increases inflation. So this is also going against what the whole administration stands for, which is like, is just mind blowing to me that we're actually having this type of topic. You know, it's just mind blowing to me. Yeah, I get it too. I don't like, airlines do suck, but you could definitely take advantage of those lows, man. Like, they're definitely, they're at those lows, man. You know, like, that's why you could buy, just look at whatever has one of the biggest drops. Like, you definitely could take advantage of them. Yeah, exactly. And NASDAQ following Vita. So that's why I'm thinking, like, focus. Let's see what happens with NASDAQ, because, and another thing too, what if they don't end the government shutdown today, right? The longer this goes on, this is going to impact GDP. Like, that's just what it's just what it is. It's going to impact GDP. It's going to start hurting the economy, right? So eventually the stock market has to start feeling that type of pressure. So I'm expecting either this week or maybe heading towards next week, if this shutdown still happens, I think eventually it's going to start impacting the markets. I think, but stock markets in general, I think it's going to the markets eventually, to me, I feel like they're going to have to actually care. Just my opinion, you know? So obviously anything could happen, but I think eventually the markets is going to have to care. So this is what we're going to focus on. But for this right here, it's just talk, right? Nothing is happening yet, but just in case, if Trump tries to put stimulus out there, right? Just in case, if they actually do it, this is going to be temporary upside for the stock market, but this is also going to be inflationary. So the Feds could be even more data dependent when they actually see this. Okay. So it's going to cause a lot of problems. We got a lot of shit going on. All right. So this is why this week is going to be pretty crazy. We've got a lot of shit going on, guys. Yeah, we went over that. Stimulus, China. So so you guys can see Fed speakers this week. They're going to be coming out starting Tuesday. So the Fed speakers is going to be important overall. Economic calendar, very light for this week, but we're going to be focusing on, like, the private group. We're going to be focusing on UK data. We got labor data coming out for the UK. That's going to be extremely important. And we got GDP for the UK as well. So London sessions, finally, we could take advantage of some opportunities. This Wednesday, we have inflation data for the US, but I don't think they're going to put that number out. They said last week, I believe they said last time, that they're not going to show the next inflation print. I'm pretty sure they said that. But obviously, if the shutdown ends, we're just going to go right back into economic data. All right. So when we go back into data, we still have to wait for the data prints to come out in order to see how good or how bad the data prints are. So we can't just, oh, the government shutdown is open, let's see what happens, right? It's going to make it a lot easier for us once we focus on economic data. Markets should now focus on data and Fed's rate, and Fed expectations. Okay, so it should be a lot easier for us once this shutdown ends. So I just, hopefully, guys, I'm just hoping that we could get an end of this crap so we could actually go back to trending markets, right? So that's one of the things that I want to pay attention to. I thought this was, like, pretty interesting. So you guys, because I know a lot of people not watching news, right? And it's just good to see let's see if it happens, man. But we could start this off here. Most of you guys that don't know. Right, so he's promising to lend $2,000 to people, right? So Sunday morning he posted this on Truth Social, and they love to, like, post stuff like this just to get a reaction and a market. But this goes against everything that he stands for, right? Because when he got elected, the goal was for him to obviously bring down the debt deficit. So if you're trying to give this stimulus out, right, that means you got to print more money. So that adds to the deficit. That goes against trying to lower inflation. Y'all see what I'm saying? Like, all of this stuff is, like, insane. that he's trying to do all of this right now. It's insane, right? So hopefully, my opinion, I hope that this doesn't. I'm hoping that that this doesn't happen. Maybe this is just a tactic that he wants to use, but yeah, it's pretty. So I'm trying to listen to some of it about what they're saying, but I don't know, guys. Like what you guys think? I think I personally feel like it is nuts that like a president, he could he could start wars, he could do all of this stuff, but when it comes to the tariffs, it probably stopped. My bad. Thank you. I think it's nuts that he could start wars. He could go after anybody he wants. But when it comes down to tariffs, oh, okay, yeah, I turned it down, guys. I feel like it's nuts that he could do all of this stuff, but when it comes to the tariffs again, they try so hard to make it seem like, yo, you can't when it comes to money wise, no. But when it comes to war, he could actually do this stuff. To me, it's like it's just insane. It makes it feel like it's just because he's doing it. You know what I'm saying? Just my opinion. Like everybody else have different opinions on it, and I'd love to hear you guys' opinion. Y'all still can't hear me? Test, test. Y'all should be able to hear me. Oh, okay. My opinion, man. But I would like to hear you guys' thoughts, man, because everybody has their own mindset when it comes to this. But I feel like the tariffs is a good way to keep other countries, right? Like to keep other countries from not like it helps stops wars also. It puts them in their place, right? How y'all think China would be if it wasn't for tariffs? So we'll get nothing out of them, you know? So this is like the only game plan that the United States have, especially when it comes against China. It's like the only thing we have, right? So if they take this away, I don't think this would allow China to be a powerhouse. This is going to allow them to take the rare earths from us, like not just from us, but globally. But y'all guys can see, right? Like, in my opinion on that, it's a good tactic that they could use. But obviously, you don't want a president to, like, obviously, you don't want him to overdo it. So it has to be some sort of regulations. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. But yeah, there's no audio behind it. But yeah, I'm glad that you guys can hear me better. And again, if you guys have questions moving forward, this is just to help you guys out. I don't know, man. Like, is it actually? I feel like he did this as a China will win. I feel like it was nuts. But if China wins, right? Obviously, we're not going to. Does it impact us? I feel like years down the line, yeah, right. Especially with all the problems that we have going on, there's just no fixing of the problem. You know, we have to lower our debt deficit. The Feds, right, they're going to have to lower interest rates. That after they lower interest rates, they have to start quantitative. They're going to have to start doing QE. So my opinion is if Trump is doing all of this shit, that it seems like the Federal Reserve going against America. It feels like the White House is going against America. Like, it seems like there's no win-win at all, even from the Fed's perspective. And now from the White House, it's making it even harder for us, right? So like I feel like it's definitely things that's going to start breaking in the economy. It definitely is. We already got those signals. You know, this is why listening to JP Morgan, like listening to these guys speak, they already see these indicators coming in, man. They're already telling us that stuff is going to start breaking in the economy. We already see the credit situation is actually becoming an issue. Yeah, before we look at trade ideas, just to show you guys, man. Like manufacturing, right? As you guys can see, already below 50. So that's contractionary, right? So we're already seeing that happen. I remember I posted, I talked to you guys about it, right? So yeah, the debt, like we could already see household debt surging. We could see, yeah, like credit card debt is climbing, student loans is up, auto loans is up. So this is a chart showing what's actually happening, right, in America. So if you guys are actually going through this, right,
The
it's
Senate
artificial.
will come to order.
Makes sense. So it's actually showing that this is. I think they're back on now. Got to mute it. 1 sec.
From Louisiana.
Okay, so
We are.
Congress is coming back. So it was at 6. So we're gonna see probably. Let's see what happens.
But we also know that there's going to be some vote in the not so distant future on what do we do about high health insurance cost, and then hopefully another vote as to what can we do about the high health care costs that are driving the high health insurance costs. And we need to talk now. We can't just like come upon the vote and suddenly have a solution. Rather, people need to be thinking about it between now and then about the solutions that benefit the American people. Clearly, we have a problem with the affordability of health care and of health insurance. And of course, that's related. And this is something that in my professional life as a physician, I addressed over 20
Yeah, so you hear me? All right, so we're going to talk about the markets real quick just before the opening, all right? So if the lockdown, if the shutdown is going to end today, I do expect that to push gold a little lower, okay? So I will expect gold to start breaking below 39.70, give us a little push lower, all right? So I would say that will cause gold to push lower if we get that. We should see a bit of a risk on market, right? My opinion, we should see that just being the temporary risk on market from the optimism from that. But usually when I worked at City Hall, when we had these meetings, they could last hours, right? Because each member, it takes them like 5 minutes to get their point across. They could be talking for 10, 15 minutes, right? So it could probably end around 8 or 9. But if we, exactly. I would like a good pullback too. So if we could get a decent amount of a pullback, right? We still got a lot of other uncertainty that still causes gold to push higher. But an end of the shutdown could give us some more downside for gold. Okay. If this actually lasts longer, right? All the uncertainty, once we start breaking above that 40-20 area, right? So at open, I wouldn't say just enter a trade immediately at open. I wouldn't want you guys to do that. But if this is optimistic, we're going to see a risk on market. Like as of now, we could already see equities is pushing higher. So I could just show you guys real quick. 1 sec. Right, so we see that NASDAQ and US 30 is already pushing higher at open. Very big gap fill that pushed higher. I don't like the idea of a trade yet because it's just all speculation at the moment. But if we still see some green equity markets, then let's see if gold could push lower. That would probably be the best play. So I'm gonna be looking at gold just in case. Okay, we'll talk about the dollar too, but I wanna see dollar push higher because of the possibility of stimulus. Because as we could see, if this is going to impact the Federal Reserve, they're not going to be cutting interest rates. Like they're not. If this is actually going to happen, it's going to make them stay even more restrictive for longer. And we're going to see dollar breaking above this high, and we're going to see dollar coming back to 100 again, you know? So I like the idea of stronger dollar if it does happen. If the stimulus thing is actually true, right? Dollar buys will probably be the best bet because the Feds is not going to cut interest rates if this is actually going on. All right. So it makes sense, guys. If the stimulus doesn't happen, they end a shutdown, then we focus back on economic data. If inflation is actually lower, if labor data stays lower, we're going to be looking for a weaker dollar because that's going to support the Fed's actually cutting interest rates. So that's what I want us to pay attention to. Okay, so yeah, like I could see the dollar pushing up a bit to 100. I think that would most likely be the best bet. But at open, because it's Asian session, I would say focus on gold. Let's see what we could get. But just set those two areas of interest, all right? So focus on the high, right, around 4,200, 4020 is a good area of resistance to focus on. And a clean area of support is going to be 3970, right? So just focus on those two areas because we are ranging. I don't like the idea of trading within the range, but first we have to see if we're getting a risk on or a risk off market. And that's what we take advantage of afterwards, all right? And I believe we have Veterans Day too, but Veterans Day, the bond market is closed. I think it's Tuesday.
The taxpayer would help pay for it. And we misaligned the incentives to where the insurance companies actually do better if health care costs are high. Now, by the way, I'm not here to bash insurance company. We need them. They're essential. But everybody's going to respond to incentives. And the incentive here is not the right incentive. So, how can we do something different? Well, I'd like to empower the patient instead of sending billions to the insurance company. And if we can put in programs that lower health care costs, we may still have premiums that are too high this year because, my gosh,
I think it's interesting because my wife works in the medical field. How is insurance fucking you guys over? Like, that shit is crazy. Like I was blessed to have like a good job, but so I really didn't think about it as much. But yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. Like the insurance that comes. Imagine having to pay all this insurance for 5 years and then you get sick and they don't cover you. Like, I think it's nuts, man. I think it's really nuts. Hopefully they find a solution, but I don't hear no idea of a solution. Just looking at gold right now. Sometimes with the markets, guys, we could get a reaction Asian session, but normally it's best to wait until like 9 p.m. We could get a move there. If we don't get a move at 9 p.m., then focus on London session, but either 12 or 3 a.m., right? If we don't get no moves then focus back to New York session. Normally, New York session be the better movers because that's when the stock market is open. You know, like Wall Street, very greedy. They want to capitalize on these type of opportunities. So it's hard to determine what's going to be more important because if the stimulus is coming out, that's optimistic actually for equities, right? But if it's just him just blowing hot air, right? I don't think why should the markets buy the rumor, right? Because we don't know if it's actually true. So we just have to focus on risk sentiment. I don't recommend at the moment just getting in anything. Let's see if we could get either a risk on or risk off market moving forward. If I'm personally thinking the markets is going to wait for the government shutdown to see if it ends or not. If they actually find a way to make a vote, right? Then if they end it, markets is going to react to that. If they don't, I believe markets will react to that. So I think that's the next step we have to focus on. So just in case, if you guys are taking technical trades, right, just be cautious.
Or 20% to them, my vote's with you. And I think we as a Congress, no matter what your political party, should all vote the same way. I want to emphasize something here, by the way. This is pre-funded. People think about flexible spending accounts and they think, well, my gosh, this poor person, 120% of federal poverty, 150% of federal poverty, has to put their own money into this. No. we take the dollars that are in the enhanced premium tax credit and we put them there instead, and it's pre-funded. So, a little different than we normally think of flexible spending accounts, but it still works. Now, a couple of things I've heard from my Democratic colleagues, by the way. My Democratic colleagues are concerned that whatever we pass over here will not get a vote in the House of Representatives. I'm pleased to say, yesterday, President Trump tweeted in favor of this proposal. I'm sure he would ask Mike Johnson to take it up. If Democrats want to vote on something that benefits the American people, and by the way, here's the tweet. You can't read this. It's classic President Trump. He's talking about money-sucking insurance companies. And then in all caps, he goes, be sent directly to the people so that they can purchase their own much better health care. That's the president's way of emphasizing, let's give power to the people, not send 20% of the money to the insurance companies. And as I said, with this tweet, the president indicating his support, I think we can rely upon him to ask Speaker Johnson to bring it up in the House of Representatives. So if Democrats want to vote on something that will have a vote in the House, they got it right there. The president.
Okay. So we could see that they actually gave them something to actually vote on. So yeah, it may take time, guys, but hopefully, man, I don't know. What you guys think? We're gonna get something ending today or 2026? like what you guys think, man? Like, is it today or shit? We gonna be here. People gonna have to like start looting stores. Like, what's gonna happen? I feel like I personally think the videos that we watch on, like the videos that you're watching on like on TikTok and stuff, I think it's all fake. I think it's all cap. I think they're just doing that. Just to get views and stuff. I'm pretty sure y'all went to a grocery store. Nobody stole your bag of food. I don't think it's happening. Like, I remember, because I remember back in the day, especially when I was in the projects, I used to work at like Dollar Tree and stuff. I used to work at Dollar Tree, and like these people, they used to have like 3 baskets full of food. It's like, there's no way they're. But I understand, like, it's a mindset, it's a spending issue, because I know that the problem is they could sell the food stamps for money, right? A lot of them do that as well. And when you're in New York, also people spend their food stamps on like they would spend it on like the deli, right? So they would just literally spend like $15 to $20 a day. They would buy like 3 sandwiches, right, James? Because you're in New York, so imagine and especially some delis, they give you like they sell you hot food on the side too, right? So people would just go there, spend like $13 to $15 a day, bro, and it's like that's how some people go broke, even when they have the government assistance, you know. But I remember like, I'll be like, damn, like, because that's what I was thinking. They're like, oh, kids is growing hungry. I'm like, have you ever been to a house of somebody that has food stamps? Like they whole shit is full. It's like, no way. But I remember when I went to the hospital, the way they feeding their kids is like junk food and shit, right? So yeah, like obviously that's the problem. But you could just tell the game that they're playing. Like, the kids are going hungry. It's like, y'all never been to a person's house. Like, their shit full. Like, they barely could close a damn freezer, you know? But some of the problem is, too, not a lot of them like to cook at home, man. You know, so it's a possibility. Let's see what happens. But they actually, finally, there is these comments is crazy, too. I can't listen to this. I can't read it. They're nuts. But they finally given them something to vote on. So hopefully, you know, we could get an end to hopefully. I don't know. But it could take time. Let's see what happens, right? So you see, like, he's going to probably speak for like 15, 20 minutes. Then another person is going to speak. Like, so this shit does take time, you know. But at least we can see that hopefully there is something moving forward. Yeah, they're selling food stamps too. And that's a problem as well, right? But that's how they're able to buy what they want, you know. So I know that's why I don't like listening to the news, because they just do a lot of fear mongering. So if they get you, right, if you angry, you feel upset, like you feel emotional, then bam, they got you, you know. So you have to try to look at it with a clear head, because I personally thought the whole purpose of the shutdown, which it was, is a part of their plan, because a lot of them was saying like, oh, this is the only edge that we have, right? This is the only edge that we have. Because how y'all guys think the voting went last week? How y'all guys think the voting went, right? So I think that was one of the things that they used that for, was to get their voting base, which is pretty nuts to me, but it's fucked up. I hope that people start to wake up. But we can listen a little more to what he says. Like, if you guys have questions so far, gold is open, seeing gold to push higher. But like I said earlier, I believe the markets is waiting for this shutdown to finally end, or is it going to keep going? And that's probably going to be the next thing, the next big move for the markets.
Cost of health insurance by throwing billions more at it. Under the enhanced premium tax credit, the money goes to insurance companies and 20% gets hung up in administrative cost and profit. Or we can spend 100% of it in pre-funded flexible spending accounts benefiting patients and their families. What can it be used for? Under the enhanced premium tax credit, you're choosing to use it for insurance premiums and whatever the insurance company thinks you should get. Under the pre-funded flexible spending account, you decide. Or, since I'm looking at a Senator Kramer's wife decides, because women make most of these decisions, and she'll decide to pay for dental, physician, glasses, prescriptions, or orthodontia, you name it, she gets to pick. Who makes the decision? Under the enhanced premium tax credit, insurance companies. Under the pre-funded flexible spending account, the patient does, the mother does, the wife does. These are the people that will then make the decisions. And does it lower cost? No. Under the enhanced premium
gold, just look at the areas of interest. I'll try to put it here so you guys can see it, right? Because gold is in a range. Right now, I wouldn't react on anything yet because we have a lot of stuff contradicting each other. If the shutdown ends, that should push gold lower, right? That should push equities higher. If the shutdown continues, that should cause more uncertainty. So right now, like looking at the dollar, right? We can see the dollar, you guys on YouTube is below me, but if you look at DXY, dollar is pushing higher because of the stimulus that Trump said. Remember, that's inflationary, right? So when you're talking about stimulating the economy, they got to print money for that. That also adds towards inflation. Because if you get money right now, $2,000, you're going to buy stuff, right? So that's higher spending, higher inflation. So that's why I feel like dollar pushing higher is a problem, right? So the best bet, right, is take advantage of the dollar strength, but that's hawkish. That could cause equities to push lower, right? So that's a hawkish reaction. This is why starting this week, when the Fed speakers actually come out and talk, it's going to be extremely important about what the Fed speakers say, because if they actually believe that this is going to happen, I think all the Fed speakers is going to be hawkish, right? They're going to stay with a hawkish pause. I believe that they all are going to come out that way because of this nonsense, right? So like we got to take things step by step. I don't want you guys just rushing into trades. First, let's see what happens with this, if this actually ends or if it's going to keep going, right? If then we're going to see tomorrow is the markets. I would expect either let's see what happens at 9 p.m. or tomorrow, right? Will the markets react to Trump's comments? Because dollar pushing higher right now, it's kind of showing me that the markets is reacting to the stimulus comments because it's inflationary. Yep, exactly, Sheena. It impacts the job markets. Everything gets impacted. And then what happens when the government shutdown ends, right? And then we actually get to see the data. And what happens if the data is already bad, right? What happens if the data is extremely bad and now we got more stimulus coming in, right? So it makes it even harder for the feds to decide because now we got recessionary data coming out, and then we got Donald Trump trying to put stimulus out in the economy. It kind of shows me that they're doing this because they know the labor markets are horrible. They know that people are struggling, right? So we need people to spend money. So we're going to give you money so you can spend, right? So, and then they're doing it. If they do it recently, we got holidays coming up. So that money going to be gone. It's going to be into the economy. So this is what I mean. We got a lot of things that is happening. So we don't have a clear edge. But as of now, if this does happen, it makes sense for dollar strength, right? Equities, I think temporary makes sense for upside in equities. But if the feds turn hawkish, that pushes equities lower, you know? I think the money will cause insurance companies to let costs, we'll get better rates, and then it will cause insurance companies to, like insurance, man, we all know insurance companies we know that they all freaking scams, man. Like everything that you got to pay insurance for is messed up. Like imagine it's just, I could have mixed feelings. I just wish they would stop lying about why illegals get. Yeah, I mean, if they pay for it, like they should, like when you get your taxes, like like when you pay your taxes, Medicaid comes out your taxes, and then when you see that your Medicaid is going to people that, like, because it's a mixed feelings. Everybody has their own opinion. I could see both sides, right? But these foreigners, they take advantage of they take advantage of the system. They know how to take advantage of the system, right? They got the husband that works. He's off the books, right? So they get food stamps, they get Medicaid, they get all of this stuff, right? So it's a win-win for them, right? They learn to take advantage. They know how to use the system, just like how the rich politicians, the rich white people, they understand how to not have to pay a lot of taxes, right? So everybody finds their way to get a loophole in the system. So we could complain about, how the poor people take advantage, but the rich people take advantage too, right? So so it's like, all right, like which season are we in today? Are we gonna hate the rich people from finding a way to get loopholes on taxes, right? While the middle class can't find no loophole, or are we going to take advantage of the poor people that finds a way to take advantage of the government, right? So we all take advantage of the system. It's meant for us to take advantage of it. It's just that they just use it to divide us. The government, we listening now to the government, but you guys get it. That's why it's right down the middle, because they take advantage of it and they take advantage of it too. You know what I'm saying? So if it's like, if you was a billionaire and then you could find a way to fuck over the government and not have to pay as much taxes, you find loopholes. People is going to think that you're messed up, right? But you're doing it for your own self-interest. You're like, man, I'm not paying 40%. If I could find a way to just pay 10% or less, which is not true, right? Because when you look at New York, I believe the top 1% pays 40% or more in taxes anyway, right? So they are paying their portion. They just find a way to just get people emotional about it, but they are paying it. They are, but we will find a way to find a loophole, right? You don't want to make $1 million and then have to give a state $400,000. So they're penalizing you for being wealthy. But if you are poor and you grew up that way, because to me, like, guys, being broke is just a mindset. Being poor is a mindset, but they don't want you to get out of that mindset. But if you could find a way to say, hey, I could take advantage of this. Like, I'm like, hey, we cannot get married because the moment they know I have a husband, I can't get these benefits, right? So the moment they know that you're working, I can't get these benefits. So when you work, you got to work off the books. So I'm going to put there that I'm a single mom with 3 kids, right? I can't pay my rent. I can't take anything. So they take advantage of the system because they allow them to, so it's not like people ain't do it. They know that they're doing it, so it's just about how people look at it. It's like you can't just be one way and be another way. Like everybody is using and abusing the system until it actually causes a break, Yeah, like somebody's going to find a loophole. The only people that struggle is the people like us, like, right? We all work the 9-to-5 jobs where if you're making anywhere from like 40,000 to probably 130,000 a year, like when you're working your job, they taking those taxes out regardless. So you can't find no loophole, right? So the only loopholes is like when you're like an entrepreneur, right? If you own real estate, if you own businesses, if you like if you hire people, or the only loophole is if you don't work. But if you're in the middle, you're paying for everything, bro. Like, so that's how they get us. You know what I mean? So it's the middle class that get destroyed. They get destroyed, and they suffer with higher inflation. They suffer because the middle class is the only class that doesn't have a loophole. You can only find a loopholes if you're extremely poor, right? Or if you're extremely rich. But in the middle, there's no loophole unless you know how to, unless you own property, real estate, like you own a little business on the side. Yeah, like exactly. So you have to be either or. Yeah, America is crazy. Yeah, so nobody's talking yet. All right, so gold is not doing anything. Equities is pushing lower for any. I hope none. I hope nobody's in trades, but anybody still holding trades from last week though? I read some of y'all questions. I'm from London, and recently I came across your page. I like your videos. Yeah, man. Like, I'm glad you enjoy it. Like, if you're interested, also, you could just join a private group too. The link is in my bio. And I'm still working on the macro course for the private group too. So it's gonna take time, man. It takes time, but I know it's gonna really pay off. I know you guys are really gonna enjoy it. So we can start prepping ahead. I try to find. Let me try to find it so I could give you guys a sneak peek of it so far. That's why, like, when people say, "Man, I'm busy," like, you're always gonna be busy. So it's just about priority, like us having an actual plan. Uh, right. So just so we're gonna be I believe I got a few more modules. So it's a lot, but with like what you guys expect, right? So it's like college, learning about macro fundamentals. So we got the inflation, how to understand inflation, like the central bank playbooks, right? If it loads, right? You want to learn how the central banks work, how to take trades from the central banks. Obviously, we do all of this live, but this is just to help you guys see, we got policy decisions, financial markets. You're going to learn about data, what it means when they say these certain scenarios, right? Focusing on the rate paths, how you could determine hawkish surprise, dovish surprise. So it's going to be a lot, but yeah, like this is what I'm working for you guys. It's going to be it's a lot, but it's going to be beneficial. And plus, obviously, when you're in a private group, we trade live every day. So that's how you just get better and better. But yeah, I hope this definitely, I'm excited for this too. I want this to actually come out for you guys. You took NASDAQ buys? Yeah, thanks, Tiara. Thanks, guys. You break even on all? Yeah, last week I only took I took like 2 trades. I took the gold buys. I just didn't take profit, man. The gold buys on Friday was good. I just didn't take profit. It was this move right here, this candle right here where it wicked higher. I just didn't, yeah. Everything, it just breaks a structure when I look for trades. Like, you just look for a break of structure and then look for a reason, right? So you can have confidence in the direction. Like, as of right now, I'm not in anything because I most likely, I believe personally, the markets is waiting for what's going to happen next with the shutdown. So I think that's going to be the next thing. Once we could get that to come across, then we're going to be looking at opportunities. So we got to wait for this to end, Like, I think Trump also announced 50-year mortgages, bro. Like, that's insane, dude. People are going to be Like that's just you're gonna be in debt forever. But right, you could pay lower monthly. You know, so I think more people would definitely buy homes. But that's insane. Uh, buh, buh, buh. Hey, y'all heard about Michael Berry? He's shorting the stock market too. He's been wrong a few times, but I don't I don't think he's wrong this time. I think it's gonna happen. He might be off by a few years. He's probably off for a few months, but I don't think he's gonna be wrong this time. But yeah, I know that's one of the big things that happened with Plantier. Just nothing yet. There's no sentiment yet. Like it was just too many things going on at once, man. So there's really nothing yet. Like right now they're at recess, so yeah, we don't see it. No, yeah, nothing from them yet. See who that next speaker is or what's gonna happen, or they could be voting too. Hopefully, get an end of this. Dollar. I don't think dollar is gonna care about how the lockdown if it ends. If it ends, it should weaken the dollar, but I think the dollar is gonna focus more on feds and stimulus. So that's going to be the focus. Like the ending of the shutdown might. I feel like the only thing if the shutdown ends, it could spike equities higher. It could push gold lower, but then afterwards, it's just going to focus back on stimulus. So I don't really think it matters as much. Yeah, like 50-year mortgages, that's nuts. But yeah, people are gonna take people. Everybody gonna be in debt, but they gonna take advantage of it, man. Crypto jumped this morning. Yeah, I think it's a good indicator. Like I like looking at big. I feel like it's a good indicator. Like to me, fundamentally, when things are wrong with the banks, right, where we got banking problems, money problems, I don't see a reason to not buy cryptos. You know, so I think this is a good sign when shit hits the fan, right? But also, you know, like the dollar is gaining strength. That also hurts Bitcoin as well, right? Because it's moving like gold. But weaker dollar helps. If we see that a lot more uncertain, to me, uncertainty should cause Bitcoin to push higher, even banking problems. But if Bitcoin is just pushing higher just because we have a optimistic market, then what's the difference between Bitcoin and equities? You know. Yeah, and again, if Instagram, you just go to YouTube so you get a better view. But that's what I mean. It should be taking forever. So yeah, it's monthly. Yeah, it's monthly. You can click the link on the bio. It's monthly. Yeah, it don't look like they're coming back anytime soon. Yeah, let me look at something else.
With our cutting-edge chart trading feature and 300+ indicators.
Law enforcement, including our own Capitol Police that we rub shoulders with every day here, are working overtime and not being paid. The entire federal workforce is not being paid. 3 million people who have families and bills to pay. Now, that's just for example. Unfortunately, the list could go on. I often say Washington, D.C., right where we're standing now, this town and the people that are in it live and work in an island.
Yeah, because I don't know if this is actually, like, which one is live, right? Yeah, you can see, like, we got two things. Yeah, this is... yeah, I believe this one is the live one. Yeah, so far nothing is happening with the markets. So just being patient.
Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate recess until 8 p.m.
Without objection, Senate stands in recess till 8 p.m.
8 p.m., guys. God damn. Well, there you go. So no end of shutdown. So recess until 8 p.m. All right. So that's really it then. We just got to wait. So far, gold is not reacting. Equities did push higher, but we like, again, I think it's just best to be patient. So we got 2 hours. Hopefully by tonight, we should get something. Okay, hopefully. That's what I'm expecting, if we could get something tonight. If not, then let's just wait until New York, all right, guys? Because as of now, I believe the markets is just going to wait until they make a decision. Are they going to see an end of the shutdown or not? That's what the market's going to react to. If they end it, equities could spike higher, gold could push lower. If it continues, I don't expect anything to happen because that's not a shock. But eventually, I do think the markets will care, right? I do think the markets will care. But maybe it would be, I would say by starting like next week or later this week, we should start seeing the markets care about the shutdown adding on, okay? So that's what we focus on moving forward. Other than that, yeah, we just got to be patient. You need the money to put in your trading account. I don't think he's gonna do that. Like he's nuts if he actually does the stimulus checks. I think he's nuts if he actually does that shit. My opinion. To me, that's just like so insane. But all right, guys, have a good one.